So here we go. I did a vlog a couple weeks ago about how I got started in the fishing business, and I said there'd be a part two, which would be kind of my take on pro staffing and kind of where the state of the union is, I guess, and kind of how I see things going right now. But basically, what is pro staffing? And we've seen this posted year after year, and everyone kind of makes fun of it. Is that the pro in pro staffing means promotional, not professional? Now, you will have some professional anglers that are obviously pro staff, but it is 100% promotional. So it's really a relationship between a company and an angler or a club or whoever it may be to promote their product. So what does that really mean? It means that no matter where you are, every time you're anywhere in the public eye, whether it's online or at a boat ramp or fishing a tournament or anywhere you go, you're representing that company. So I'll get a little bit into Quota Conduct later on, but that's what it means, is that you are an extension of that company. At the end of the day, if none of this, anything you do leads to sales of their product, you're failing them. And that's what kind of makes it tricky for some guys, is that it's difficult to track where those sales are coming from or if they even exist at all. So through your promotions, it will lead to sales. Now, here's the tricky part. Anybody can go on social media or forums or whatever it may be and promote a product. But does it in the end lead to sales of said product? Now, a bunch of things kind of determine that. And to me, the biggest thing from the get-go is credibility. If you're someone that every day you go on social media or Instagram or wherever it is you're posting, and you're just posting stuff about new product and, oh, I can't wait to use this and whatever else it may be, and you never fish, or you just never produce anything, or you don't become known as someone that catches fish, it's debatable how much that's even being useful to the company. They'll figure it out. Sooner or later, they'll figure it out. That, yes, you're posting a whole bunch and you're promoting their product, but with it has to come credibility. And some of the best guys that do it are amazing at it. You know, they're just catching fish and they're great fishermen and they can properly promote the product. When you do get into pro staffing, there's got to be a clear understanding of expectations on your part and on the company's part. So it's got to be kind of gin clear what's going to be going on between the two companies, what you expect from them and what they expect from you. So always have that in mind. And the biggest thing is that if you say you're going to do something at the start of the year, you have to do it. Make sure you do it, because then your credibility with that company is now out the window, because at that point, you're just a big talker. You didn't follow through on what you said you were going to do, and that looks bad on you in the end. To me, one of the biggest keys to becoming successful in pro staff is you see a lot of the guys do it really well. And the key to it, to me, is quality over quantity. Quality photos, quality posts. Rather than 3 or 4 things a day, post 3 or 4 things a week, but make them quality and make them count. It makes a big difference when people are scrolling through. I know myself, when I'm just scrolling through my phone and I see links and stuff, nobody clicks on that stuff anymore. I don't think anybody clicks on that stuff anymore. But if you post a quality image, maybe a little story, caught this fish, this is what I caught it on, that's what piques people's interest, and that's what really gets attention to the companies that you're actually promoting. So I'm fortunate in a way that I'm able to do a bunch of different stuff. So social media, and you can imagine if you took social media away from a bunch of guys, they would literally have nothing to do. They would have nowhere to post. They would have no product to promote anywhere, because that's basically it. So I'm fortunate with the guide service that I'm able to put the product right in people's hands. That is the greatest selling feature you could ever imagine. I also will lend anybody any gear at any time for them to try out. If they're curious about a new reel or a new rod, I have that at my disposal that I can give to them for a weekend. They can try it out. That also puts product in people's hands. If you're dealing with quality product, you don't need to sell it. You need to have people use it. And once they use it, they fall in love with it. I've seen it countless times in my boat that literally people are leaving from my boat to go and buy gear that they used in my boat. And I know that's difficult for everybody, but just keep in mind that your friends are probably people that are looking to buy gear as well. Let your friends use it. Let your family use it. Let anyone that wants to use the gear that you're promoting, because it will sell itself if it's quality gear. Getting back to the credibility part of this, if you're a fishing guy and you're not out fishing regularly and you're not catching a lot of fish and catching quality fish or being at events or whatever, you're really almost doing yourself a disservice if you want to be involved in this. If you don't have the time to do this, then you probably should really be honest with yourself that you can't dedicate the time to do this, that you probably shouldn't be doing it because it's not fair to yourself, because you're going to be trying to live up to expectations that aren't really manageable for yourself. And as far as the company's point of view, you're not giving them basically what they expected from you in the first place. So you have to be honest with yourself. If you're a guy that only fishes, 6 days a year or 10 days a year and basically you fish tournaments and that's all you do, that's going to be a little bit of a grind for you to be able to properly promote that product. So another thing to consider is that a lot of guys think you have to fish tournaments to be pro staff, and that's simply not true. I literally sat down at one of the companies, the biggest companies I deal with, and they told me they don't care if I ever fish another tournament again. It's not always the key to being a great pro staffer, and some of the best pro staff I see don't fish any tournaments. That is the other thing when I talk about, the Quota Conduct. I drive people crazy at a boat ramp because I'm talking to people at the boat ramp. I go anywhere, I want to talk to people. You want to meet people and help people fish. And that's basically, you have to create that reputation when you walk up to a dock. You're not the guy, the grizzly fisherman guy. No, you got to be, hey, how's it going? How's fishing? How's your day? That's the guy you got to be at the boat ramp because, like I said, 24/7, 365, you're wearing logos to represent companies, and you have to put out a positive message to everyone about fishing and the company that you're representing. So here's a few don'ts that they irk me a little bit, but guys have their own way to do things, and I'm not saying I'm right and I'm not saying I'm wrong. I don't know, but it's just not how I operate. And the biggest thing for me is don't be overly commercial about things. Don't ram things down people's throats. You need to buy this and you need to try this. Everything else is junk and just promote your product. Go fish and promote the product. That's what, at the end of the day, it's real simple, and you don't have to ram it down people's throats because I know I don't like it, and I don't think anybody likes it, and I think it actually turns people off. Another thing that always kind of annoys me, and it's usually around this time of year, and I've actually had a couple companies say, please don't do this, it just looks really bad, is that when guys do get their pro staff orders, and they bring it in the house, and they lay it all out on the dining room table, and they take a picture of it and say, hey man, thanks to XYZ company for supporting me this year, and lays out their whole pro staff order. Well, first of all, if you wanted to thank them, just send them an email, right? That's all they need to see. Because basically that post is pretty well just thumbing your nose up at everyone else that didn't get that order. That's the impression you give to people. Trust me, I could show you my order and it might make you sick, but I would never do it to you. Because it's just not necessary. It doesn't add anything, and it certainly doesn't promote the brand. All it does is it promotes that you got your order, and that's not a really big deal to anybody that doesn't really care about it. So try to avoid that. I never do it. It kind of annoys me when I see it, but guys will continue doing it, and in the next few weeks, we're going to start to see more of them. I talked about Quota Conduct earlier, and here's the biggest thing that I see, and that guys are getting better at it, but some guys still aren't, is that, like I said, 24/7, 365, you're representing these companies. So if you go on social media and you're posting bikini chicks, hey, I like bikini chicks, but I don't post it publicly, right? We have a level of standards that we have to uphold, right? Like, you just don't do that stuff. Or if you go out drinking with your buddies and, you're doing a drunk post or whatever, it's just nonsense. So you have to, check yourself, right? Like, just... And I know some guys that really want to get into this business, but I see them posting this stuff. And you can't expect a company to have you represent them when you're doing this kind of stuff online. Because once you do it, it's out there forever. It never goes away, right? No matter what you do. And another thing is, I won't get into political conversations online, but I would tend to avoid them. And they're everywhere right now. Whether you're in Canada or the States, they're everywhere. So I try to avoid them because it really serves no purpose whatsoever. I would try to avoid it because, again, you're just stepping in it, potentially stepping in it. And it's tricky on social media not to step in it, but you got to try to avoid it as best you can. So I'm going to leave you with a little bit of a pitfall that I've noticed in the last few years that a lot of guys kind of get caught into. And it's typically done by companies that can't get their product into stores in any area, right? So basically what they've done is they've created Prostaff teams, 4, 5, 6, 8,000, 1,200 guys on their Prostaff team. So I understand that guys want to be part of a team. That's fine, of course, and that's fine. That's what you're comfortable doing, but you have to know going into it, this is what's happening. So those companies have no intention of ever putting their product into a retail level. That means that you're promoting a product that is not even available in the stores that are near you. You are becoming their customer. They're creating a customer base just by giving you a shirt to put you on the team. And I'm not saying you shouldn't do this, but you need to be aware of why they're doing it. So they're not selling you, they're not putting it in any stores, but they want to sell it to you at basically their wholesale pricing. That's fine, you're getting a deal on some gear. But keeping in mind, they don't need you to promote it because there's no point. They're not selling it retail level anyways. It's just a way for them to move product through a bunch of guys. Oh, and guess what? They force you to buy 6 rods or 8 rods a year, or 6 or 8 reels a year, or however many plastics. And I don't need to name the companies. We all know who I'm talking about. But you're seeing this time after time. And it's, from a company point of view, it's freaking brilliant. They don't have to ship anything other than directly to anglers. Guys signing up year after year. I'm new with this team, and I'm on with this team. And that's great. I understand guys want to be a part of it, but you need to be aware that they don't care if you promote the product. They just want you to buy their product. And you're buying it at a wholesale level because they're not even attempting to put it in stores. And generally what happens is guys will do it for a couple of years, and then they realize that A, they don't really like the product to start with, B, that they're forced to buy this product year after year, and that C, they probably shouldn't have done it in the first place, and then they move on. And there's a cycle to that, and I kind of see it all the time. Lastly, one thing that you should always do at the end of your season, I typically do it around November, is do a year-end report. So I write up a year-end report as to where I've been, what I've done, and how I've promoted the company throughout that year. And I send these out to all my companies that I deal with. It just goes through what dates and stuff like that and different things that I had happen that year. And it's a real way that they can kind of keep track of what you're doing, even though they kind of know already. But it's a nice encapsulated kind of deal at the end of the year that it gives them an idea that you've been up to, what you've been up to for the year, and just gives them a synopsis of your year, and it gives them an opportunity to see what you've done, and as well as you can give these to other companies that you're approaching in the future. I've got I think 6 years of these that I could hand out to people, and they're just really handy to keep around, and I know the companies that I send them to really appreciate it. So that's kind of a wrap on my take of the Prostaff thing, and I know I could go on about this for hours, but that's kind of where I'm at with it right now. Like I said in my first video, I'm not really approaching anybody anymore as far as new opportunities, but one thing to be, and I've run across this in the last year, is that you really have to be honest with people. And just as an example, I have one company that I've dealt with for a few years, and it got to a point for me that I wasn't really using the product anymore. And I wanted to be fair to him. And it wasn't that the product's no good. It's just that I just I wasn't targeting that fish anymore. So I wasn't really using his product. And to be fair to him, I went to him and I said, listen, it's no hard feelings, man. Like, you got to understand that I'm kind of doing what people want to do. And it's not that right now. So I just want to give him the opportunity that if he didn't want to continue doing this deal that we had, that I would let it go, and no hard feelings, and we go on from there. But he wanted to keep it going, and that's great on his part. I appreciate it, but I just had to be honest, and I kind of evaluate that from year to year as to where I'm going to be, and just be honest with people and yourself. And if you are, and you create quality content, pro staffing can be a lot of fun. I've had amazing opportunities through it, and I hope you can too. And hopefully this video gives you a little bit of a taste of the do's and don'ts.